All right, guys, welcome to week 4 of online learning. This is the last week before you guys head for spring break. So this week we're talking about deviation, and we're going to be calculating mean absolute deviation. That means the average distance between each data value and the mean. So to calculate this, we're going to be using 3 steps. Step 1 is to find the mean, which you guys had a lot of practice with last week. Step 2 is to find the distance of each value from the mean. And then step 3 is to find the mean of the distances that you calculated in step 2. Now don't forget that another word for mean is average. So we're going to be adding all the numbers in the data set together and dividing by how many there are. So let's take a look at an example and start with step 1. So here we have the data set with 5 data points: 75, 80, 85, 90, and 100. So step 1 is to calculate the mean. So to do that, we're going to add our numbers together and we're going to divide by 5. 75 plus 80 plus 85 plus 90 plus 100. And we're going to divide that all by 5 because we have 5 numbers. Plug that into a calculator and you will get 86. So we just finished step 1, which is to find the mean of our data set. So now we're going to move on to step 2. Step 2 is to find the distance of each value from the mean. So what that's asking you to do is look at each point in your data set and ask, how far away is this from the mean that you just calculated of 86? So the first one is 75. How far away is 86 from 75? 75 is 11 away from 86, because 75 plus 11 is 86. Now let's keep going. How far away is 80 from 86? 6 away. 85 is 1 away from 86. 90 is 4 away from 86. And 100 is 14 away from 86. So we just finished step 2. We found the distance from each of our points to our mean. So our last thing that we need to do is to find the mean or the average of those distances that we just calculated. And that's going to give us our mean absolute deviation. So we have 11, 6, 1, 4, and 14. So we're going to do the same process that we did in step 1 with those new numbers. So we have 11 plus 6 plus 1 plus 4 plus 14. And we're going to divide all those by 5. When you plug that into a calculator and you do your division, you will get 7.2. So what that's telling you is the average distance between each data value and the mean is 7.2. There's another type of question that this will ask you. So if you're given 2 mean absolute deviations, so let's use the one that we just calculated, 7.2. And let's say we have a whole nother data set. We calculated the mean absolute deviation from that, and we got 4.1. Now let's compare 4.1 and 7.2. Well, obviously 4.1 is smaller than 7.2. So for mean absolute deviation, that means that the average distance between the data value and the mean is smaller. So that means your spread is going to be closer together. So if your numbers are farther apart and more spread out, that would be the bigger number. Okay. So you're also going to see a couple questions that talk about standard deviation. You're not going to be asked to calculate standard deviation, but you are going to be asked, if you're given the mean and the standard deviation, how far away, and this one asks, is 1 standard deviation. I'm going to change my question up a little bit. I changed my first number and that one didn't make sense. So this says, what range of numbers would be 1 standard deviation of the mean if the average is 20 and the standard deviation is 3. So this sounds really complex and complicated, but it's actually probably the simplest thing in this video. So what you have to do is take the standard deviation that they gave you, so ours is 3, and we need to find the range when our mean or our average is 20. So to find our range, what we do is we take 20 and we're going to add 3 to find the higher value, which is 23. And then we're going to subtract 3 to find our lower value, which is 17. So that would mean that our range would be 17 to 23. That would be 1 standard deviation. If it asks you for 2 standard deviations, what you would do is you would do it again. So this is 1 standard deviation. So to make it a second standard deviation, I would again add another 3 and subtract another 3. So our second standard deviation would be 14 to 26. So that's what you're going to be asked to do with standard deviation. Our secret word for this video is greyhounds. So that's going to be the answer to the first question in the Go Formative. It's just making sure that you guys watch this video and understand how to calculate mean absolute deviation using these 3 steps and how to answer the questions on standard deviation. If you have any questions, you guys can leave a comment on Google Classroom, or you can leave us a message in Go Formative itself. Bye, guys.